Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. And I wanted to tell you that there are several more things that I have discovered that I need to add to the pro section of why I love Margaritaville. And I've only lived here for 2 weeks. But these things have come to my attention that I didn't really think that much about when we were making the decision to move here. So if you're looking for a few more reasons why you would like the neighborhood, maybe this will help you. They're not in any particular order. They're just things that have come to my attention since I've moved here, and they are making my life better. So here is number one. This is an extraordinarily friendly dog neighborhood. So many of my neighbors have dogs, but here is the best thing about it, because neighbors in my last neighborhood had dogs. These neighbors are very respectful about their dogs and walking their dogs and having their dogs on the leash, picking up their dog's poop and disposing of it, not leaving it in your yard, not leaving it in a public grassy area, except for maybe the dog park, and I think they pick it up there too. I haven't walked Clarke through the dog park, but I have found this to be really helpful to both me and to Clarke. You guys might know that I have a blind rescue dog, a lab named Clarke, and I call him Clarke the Blind Wonder Dog, and he has acclimated himself extremely well here. Now, Clarke is not a real friendly dog with other dogs until he gets to know them, because he can't see them. And he needs about 3 or 4 times around other dogs to get used to their smell. And once he's used to their smell, then he's great, and he wants to play with them and jump up around them, and he smiles and he's happy and he has a good time. Other dog owners here are very respectful of Clarke because he's blind, and they don't let their dogs run up and jump all over Clarke, or even run up and jump on me. They keep their dogs at a respectful distance on the leash, and we all talk to each other until Clarke can kind of get to know those dogs by their smell, maybe some by their sound, I don't know. But Clarke also loves people, especially adults, and there's lots of adults around here. So he has made a lot of friends since we've been here, and he's getting to know a lot of pet friends. Even my neighbor across the street, she and her husband will drive by in their golf cart, and they both yell, "Hey, Clarke! Hey, Clarke!" So Clarke perks up and he gets all excited. So that's number one. Number two that I have discovered that is, unless you live near town square, this is a really quiet neighborhood. I guess, living in the middle of Memphis, and I loved it, but I had forgotten what it is like to live in a quiet area. And y'all, we're not that far from the airport, but I think the flight path is more maybe over toward where the sales center is. And we are about 2.2 miles from the sales center off of West Bay Parkway, which runs right through the neighborhood. That's the main street. And we're kind of in the middle of a preserve. So I don't even hardly see the planes. Every now and then, I think I'll hear an airplane and I'll look up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, we live near an airport. You know, contrast that with, I used to sit out in my backyard at night and I would watch the FedEx planes fly over, and it was a sight, because they were so symmetrically timed. My last house was one short street away from a train track. I got used to hearing a train like within a week. But every hour, practically on the hour, especially through the night, there was a train. I mean, if I sit out on Mile Night in the evening, I hear birds chirping, I hear maybe animal sounds. It's just a very quiet neighborhood, and my neighbors aren't loud. Now, I know that neighbors have garage parties here in the evenings, but they generally wrap it up pretty early, And but they haven't had any since I've been here in my neighborhood, and it's just, my neighbors are just quiet. What can I say? No one hot rods down your street. I've also spent a lot of my life growing up when I was younger living in the country, and when I look out my backyard and I see the preserve out there with all the trees, I feel like I live in the country. So I just wanted to say I had forgotten what quiet is like. If you like a quiet neighborhood, this would be it. Now, I do want to say that so many of the homes here have a preserve view. Watersound, Latitude Margaritaville Watersound, is a development that has acres and acres of preserves. So the most that's in those preserves are animals. There's going to be no building. No one will ever build behind me. You walk in our front door and there's an expanse of glass across the back and you just see trees. It's really beautiful. And there's a lot of ponds here too, so a lot of neighbors have built with a view of a pond in the back, and that's a beautiful, quiet view also. So here's number 3. I grew up in New Mexico, and the skies were gorgeous. The views of the sky were beautiful, and that was just part of the joy of growing up in New Mexico. I had no idea that I could enjoy that just as much from my new home in Margaritaville. Now, this may not be a big deal to you if you've always lived in the city, or you've just lived around buildings or places where you didn't really see an expanse of sky and you hadn't had the opportunity to experience that and appreciate it, but I can tell you it is a glorious thing. And oddly enough, these skies here remind me of New Mexico because the breeze, and it's not windy like it was growing up in New Mexico. There's not constant wind, there's just a wonderful breeze. So even though you're hot during the day, you get to really enjoy the evenings. Weather is great here. So that's number 3. Number 4, I'm going to read this one. It is true, I had heard this, but I didn't know if I really believed it. It is true that even though there are so many activities to choose from, and they're very easy to find on the homeowner's website, which is a fabulous website, by the way, there is no pressure to go to any activity ever, and you don't feel obliged or beholden to anyone to go. No one makes you feel like you should go or asks you why you haven't been to something, or they just don't. You see other people going to other things and you can discuss them with them. And if you wanted to be a true at-home to yourself person, I would never have believed that Margaritaville would have been the place to do it. In fact, I think I listed that as a con on my pros and cons video, that if you are a person who doesn't like to get out and mingle and meet people, this is probably not the neighborhood for you. Well, I take that back. I think you'd be very comfortable here. 5. Y'all, the neighbors have been wonderful, really wonderful. They have been extremely friendly and extremely welcoming, and they act like they're genuinely glad that I'm here. And they are that way with everyone. They have made me feel really special and really included, and they have made Clarke the blind wonder dog feel the same way too. The neighbors are extremely active. You know, they go out, they're walking, they're biking, they're jogging. I walk with my weights in the morning. The neighbors are just really active. The neighbors are extremely active and they're very friendly. And then I have a 6th reason. Of course, I said that one of the pros is that you're so close to the beach. I think that was the first one. But I have discovered if I want to get out early before my day starts and walk along the beach, which I love to walk on the beach during the day when it's not in the summertime. But even now in the middle of the season, when it is so busy as you get into town, I am from my driveway to the beach in 18 minutes. And that is less time than it used to take me to drive to my office I was living in East Memphis and my office was in Carterville. So that's 18 minutes right down to, that's to the beach at Pier Park. There's parking along the street and across the street. There's plenty of it at that hour of the morning. The day is gorgeous, and that is also the dog beach. So people bring their dogs, they chase balls in the water and swim out after them and run up and down the beach. And it is such a fun beach. I can't wait to take my grandkids there. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Marla. My channel's called My Third Act. I think I'm going to rename it My Third Act at the Beach. If you guys have any questions about Margaritaville, please let me know. I hope I can answer them. If not, I'll look for the answer. And thanks so much, and you guys have a great day. Bye.